She asked me to make something new, created from nothing.
Tell me about your band, for example.
Well, I've got two bands I'm using at the moment because you know, the guys in England that I work with, a guy called Phil Spalding on bass. He's a bit of a legend. He's played on so many different albums over the years. Great player, real character on stage. But over here, I've been sorry, I should mention this guy Tony Lowe, who plays guitar. He came over and played over here with me as well. But I used Scott DeVos, who was the drummer in the Daltrey band. Right. Roger and I did auditions in, I think, 4 or 5 years ago for that band, and Scott and I just clicked straight away. He's a great musician, great guy as well. And he brought along his best buddy, Dave Best, on bass, who's also fantastic. Sings great as well as plays great bass, so it really works with my songs because I need that backing vocal. And yeah, so kind of not at the moment so committed to particular individuals. I like to keep an open book on the musician side of things right now. Obviously, if we start touring next year after the Who tour, I may go out again. Then I have to decide whether I'm going to bring my band from England or use the guys here. But touring's expensive, you know. And at the level that I'm working at, you know, sometimes you can, by using US rhythm section, it will save a lot of money for me. So probably end up the way I'm going to go.
Cool. Now you do have some dates, I guess, coming up in the UK next month, and then I saw you're playing one oddball date in Chicago.
Playing Martyrs in Chicago on the
20.
Oh God, I should know this, shouldn't I?
Okay.
I think it's the 26th or the 28th of November.
Okay.
I'm playing at Joe's Pub again in New York City on the 12th of December.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've also got a gig in Boston that's just come through as well.
Right.
At Church, I think it's called. So yeah.
And then of course you got the Quadrophenia tour coming up.
Yeah.
With the Who. Now when does that start up? That starts up at the end
November
of the
year? 1st.
Right.
We start rehearsing late October for that.
Right. Right. And what can you tell us about that? I mean, what do you know?
It's going to be. I know a fair bit about it. It's going to be different to the last tour in that we're not having special guests on this. We're interacting more with film. I'm not sure how much I can give away, but I mean, it's going to. I think it's a fantastic ideas that I've been told about. I mean, involving past members of the Who, interaction, and Roger's going to interact as well off screen. So we don't need to take the guest stars along, which is nice. I think it worked well in that last tour, but it's going to be, I think, a bit more of a band thing this time out.
And any more dates doing Tommy with Roger at all, or is
that could always happen.
Yeah.
That could always happen. That was an incredible show, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, I saw the original Tommy tour when I was a little kid, 1970, and you know, and I saw the one in 1989 as well, where they had regrouped, and I thought the version you guys was far more faithful to the original.
Well, it was so accurate, wasn't it?
Yes.
We did all the backing vocals,
right? All those
6-part harmonies, and it really was well
fantastic.
thought out.
Yeah.
That was the musical director who knows some of you guys, Frank Symes.
Yeah, exactly.
He did a good job on perfecting the tracks and making sure everything was very true to the original.
Do you have a favorite Quadrophenia, Tommy?
Well, I think Tommy is a little off the wall in terms of, you know, the whole idea of it, and it's a bit more surreal, and I think that really appeals to me. That sort of almost imagination taking that to completion. But then Quadrophenia is a bit rockier, isn't it? So it's a tough one. I think they're both absolutely fantastic.
And speaking of Tommy, that's really when you first worked with the Who on the soundtrack. Is that correct? Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, I saw that movie probably more times than I'm willing to admit.
My brother,
But how did that happen?
well, my brother Paul and I I was probably about 7 or 8 years old,
Right.
maybe even younger. I can't even think. The album came out in '69, didn't it? So it was probably in '68, so I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. And we were at the studio for the I think it was for the day actually with Pete. He'd taken us there. I just didn't see much of him in those days, so I guess because he was recording in London, he came and took us to the studio. And we were playing in the lifts all day, pretty much. And then about 1 in the morning, he came and said, "We need your help," to my brother and I. And we came in and we sang the "Rise, Rise, 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 Rise," or "Smash the Mirror." And that was a big moment for us.
Right. And then, so that's the original album, and then you did
And then
sing
on
on the
Tommy,
soundtrack.
I sang the extra parts.
Right.
Which was over about 3 years. I did the first one in the studio and the second one at Pete's house. Yeah, I have a very good harmony voice. So the idea of having 3 voices harmonising, I was quite good at, and Pete knew that, so he thought that I'd work well. And I actually did some film for that as well. I went to the set in Portsmouth, I think we were, and we had a huge pile of newspapers, sky high, and we were put up there by crane, and I was working with these kids called the James Boys. They were 2 young American kids that I think at the time were like getting popular, but they had management issues, so we couldn't use the footage in the film, so it was a real shame. But we did all the extra with all the people around us throwing out newspapers, and Ken Russell on this huge crane going around, lip sync better, he was like really, he was going crazy because we weren't opening our mouths enough, and I mean we were only kids.
Right. That movie's crazy.
Yeah,
I'd still love to watch it.
yeah.
So now we were talking about Endless Wire earlier, and like I was saying, I'm assuming that is the last Who album.
Maybe Pete's written some stuff lately, so yeah, you never know, do you?
You guys ever write together at all?
We did a little. We did probably 3 months where we were going in and out of the studio. Me, my brother Paul, and Pete. We were going to call it the 3 T's. But during that, we wrote probably 6 songs, and I get a lot of requests from people asking to hear them. But we only took them to the very basic stages, and then Pete had an accident and broke his wrist. And it just kind of stopped the project moving along, and then other things came along, and you know how life is. I think the Who ended up going out not long after that when his wrist got better. So it just kind of put a stop to it, unfortunately. But that was a lot of fun, you know. We ended up with one song called Flame, which I'd written with my band at the time, and that ended up going on one of Pete's albums.
And how about, have you ever written with Roger at all?
I haven't, no. But Roger keeps talking about it.
Oh, really?
Keeps talking about singing one of my songs called The Way It Is, and possibly that he actually really likes that song I just played as well, and wanted to look at that one with me as well. But you know, we'll see. You need energy to do these things, and there's so much going on. I think a lot of the time these guys get off the road and they just want to relax and live their lives, and you know, Roger's got a lot of grandkids around him and stuff. It's tough. A lot of it is motivation. I mean, I found the motivation to do my album through sheer hunger, because I really want to get noticed, and I really want to get my music out there. So I'm still really hungry, you know. And that's why I say I've written another album already. You know, it's like because I've got so much to prove and so much to achieve still. And I think partly the problem is with people that have already got there is the motivational aspect of it. It's, you know, it's hard to get out of the chair. It's hard to sort of think about work when you can go and buy a Ferrari or whatever it is that keeps you happy, you know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's not.
absolutely.
it's not laziness, because the ideas are always there and the intention is always there. It's just actually getting the motivation to finally go in and do the work.
Right. Well, like they say, the fun is always in the chase, and then
Yeah.
once the chase is over.
Well, there could be some truth in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Simon, I really want to thank you for sitting down with us today. Gosh, I hope we can cool off some way. The new album, Looking Out, Looking In, November 2nd, right? Is that the date we're going to see that record out?
November 2nd, yeah. It'll
Okay.
be sold after all the Who shows.
Okay.
On the stands there. It's going to be in whatever's left of the record stores in the North America for certain.
Right.
And online, of course, at Eagle Rock's site, iTunes, and my own website.
Your website, SimonTownsend.com?
Yeah.
Great, great. And Facebook, I guess I can find
I'm
out
on
about you there?
Facebook and I'm on Twitter. You can always find me there.
Great, great.
There's some frauds around, though. Watch out for the frauds.
Okay. Well, we're going to catch you on the road playing Quadrophenia.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting. And Simon, thanks again for talking with us.
Cheers.
All right. Have a great day.